Town of Light. Was, Ita? Renée. My name is Renée. They told me that I have to write this diary, but I don't feel like it. It's not true that I feel better when I write. Actually, it's worse. I was a shy girl and just wanted to be like the others. But that's not what happened. No, I did things that if I think about them now, eventually they brought me here. Irgendwas durchgestrichen? My Town. Die hat eine interessante, ja, Malweise, Zeichenweise, wie auch immer. Ein Zeichenstil. Ui. Everything started with that damned light. It happened for the first time when I was still a little girl. I was 6 or 7. I was walking outside school when suddenly the noise started to melt into an indistinct rumble. The light increased out of all proportion and everything had its meaning? Irgendwie sowas. I could no longer recognize anything, objects, peoples, not even myself. Don't stare at me. I felt as physical sensation. It prevented me from mourning, from swallowing, from breathing. Was often God knows how long everything went back to normal. But a new... Was ist denn das für ein Wort? For the old one? Different but terrible. That of the light coming back. And it did come back. But a new one? Form? Replaced the old one? And it come back? Also ich finde, das wird immer schlimmer mit ihrem Schreiben. My memory of those years is hazy, between the age of about 7 and 10. My memories are unconnected, and I couldn't say how many times and how frequently the light used to come. My mother gave me a doll around that time. Charlotte. Die Zeichnung ist ziemlich krass. Thinking back to it makes me want to laugh, but at the beginning I remember that I was afraid of her. I thought she wanted to harm me, to kill me, and take my place. But when the light would come, she would stay beside me and did not disturb me. Oh, das ist gruselig. I was able to talk to her, and so she became my best friend, at least until the second year of school, when everything changed. She didn't laugh at me, and if I had to say something to my mother, I had her say it. When the things inside me turned bad, she was the only one I could turn to. Now all this makes me blush, but Charlotte was a real friend to me. I know that she was just a doll. I wasn't stupid, but at the same time she was real too. I don't know how to explain it. It's difficult. My mother would cuddle her and tell her things. She was trying to communicate with me, but back then I was too afraid to understand it. I didn't tell anyone about the light. I knew that something terrible was happening to me. I thought that I would die, and the shame I felt was so deep that an uncontrollable restlessness took over me. Der Vogel ist voll schön. Ah! Ich nehm's zurück. Was ist Gun? Opol ist Gun. I was scared when other people were nearby. I saw fingers pointing at me, mouths laughing at me. Randoming. Ja. Condemning me oder irgendwie sowas. Also nur Mobbing. Oh. Ach. Erinnert ihr euch noch an dieses große Auge, was dann wie so eine Schlange war? Also so ein Schlangenauge? Vielleicht ist das alles auch ihrer Fantasie so entsprungen. Sie hat sich beobachtet gefühlt, alle haben sie angeguckt, haben auf sie gezeigt. Und alles, was wir gesehen haben in dieser Anstalt mit der neuen Renée, das waren alles die Anzeichen von ihr, ihre Probleme, womit sie sich auseinandergesetzt hat. I tried to be alone. I would sit down on the ground and curled up in the dark. I would repeat a word, any word, over and over again. This helped me not to think, not to lose myself. It would spend entire days like this, hoping that my mother would ignore me. Her compassionate wouldn't hurt me and terrorized me even more, and so I had to shout and shout and shout those words. After a few days, the me got better, and little by little I came out of my hiding place, but the fear was always there, under the surface, ready to stroke me even harder. Ja, ich glaube, man kann es schon irgendwie verstehen. Ist teilweise wirklich ein bisschen schwierig, das zu lesen. Today was so real that when nightmare but those particular over to have plenty of I used from the time I remember a roaring dream becoming I ask myself whether it could have possibly been just a dream. Boah. I was in bed, enveloped by the warmth of the blanket and the dark, about to succumb to sleep, when I heard the bedroom door open. I turned to face the wall and did not have the courage to turn around. I only saw a shadow cast against the wall by the light filtering in through the door. Then I heard the door close again, and I thought that it might have been my mother, who, before going to bed, used to peep in to see whether I was sleeping. Kennen wir das nicht alle? However, there was no time to breathe. A side of for footsteps approached the bed, and I heard the sound of breathing close by. Fear paralyzed me from head to toe. The blankets were pulled back. I remember the chill of frozen air frisk on my spine. Someone sat on the bed and I trembled. Oh Gott, ist das gruselig. Huch. Achso, das ist ein Bein, wie der da lang geht. Das ist sie. Und er setzt sich da auf das Bett. When the dream finished. Ih! Ih! Matschrüben! The light often came when I was at school, turning my fellow pupils into puppets that would terrorize me. To me, they appeared transformed, with the bloodied head of animals stuck where their own heads should have been. I wouldn't the floor, and would even met myself. The teacher would try to console me and would smile at me, but her teeth and her eyes would terrify me even more. Things did change. I don't know why. Perhaps during the second and third year of school, taking attendance. Hey. It was more... Was? It was more of her or less? It was more or less in the same period that I became friends with the Bruna? I remember the sensation of joy experienced when I felt almost normal. The light isn't coming. The dream have gone, and I have a real friend on who speaks to me. One who speaks to me. Ach, das sind hier Shadow, Handschatten. Wie cool. I would repeat this to myself proudly while looking in the mirror, where I no longer saw an embarrassing reflection. It seemed to me that the World War was a difficult place, but was no longer impossible. Bruna. I did not understand what Bruna saw in me, especially as she was almost 2 years older than me. I would tell her this every now and then, and she would joke about it, saying, "Nothing, I don't..." Was? See? Anything in you? Nothing. I don't see anything in you, which is what I like about you. And then she would hug me. She would hug me. But one day she was sad and and said to me, "You and I are the same, don't be fooled. You are reserved and opposite, and I'm not, but that's the only difference between us." The only one? Das ist sehr schwer. Then she began to cry. I was struck by the perception in her words, but only today, after the examining my past, do I understand what she meant. Wow, das ist teilweise echt schwierig zu lesen. Gerade wenn man, sorry, ich bin gerade ans Mikro gekommen. Wenn es jetzt auf Deutsch wäre, wäre es vielleicht ein bisschen einfacher, weil man kennt nicht unbedingt alle Wörter. Das ist dann, und die schreibt auch ein bisschen anders. Teilweise das S ist halt anders und es ist, ja, ich versuch's halt. Things improved for a number of years. Then suddenly everything precipitated. That evening I got home drunk, and the following morning a terrible crisis overcame me all of a sudden. What had I done? I was terrified. I thought I had lost my sight. The light burned my eyes from inside. I remember of the previous day emerged fits and starts. Imagine flasher when unleashed something monstrous inside me. Repetition of words was no longer sufficient. Now there was a voice in my head which repeated them louder than I did, and they were words of accusation and blame, and so I covered my ears and shouted and hit my head against the wall and threw up. Oha. Oh Gott. I remember the doctor, the wall filthy with blood and vomit. My mother did not look at me. Bruna was crying, but trying to hide it. Charlotte was beside me. I never told anyone what had happened. He came to visit me, but I refused to see him. I became agitated. I think he liked me. Even so, things turned out badly. In that period, I began to suffer from memory loss. The few things I band didn't chase me at all. He told me I was working for him. Bruno told me that sometimes got drunk. People in the village talked about me. Sometimes wore covered in black and blue marks. I didn't realize that war. Warte mal, muss ich jetzt nach unten lesen oder nach rechts? I was no longer in control of was? I was no longer in control of life from my little corner. So I didn't realize that was happening to me, what I was doing. I no longer considered my body as something disgusting and ill. Far from it. I began to look at myself, to care myself and smell my own skin. I began to explore and experience finding physical pleasure. My ideas were not very clear, and I never spoke to anyone about these things. Bruna, however, spoke about them. She boasted about her laughter and her young men. To my eyes, she was very lucky, always being mood. Wow. Da muss ich gerade so ein bisschen an Alice Madness Returns denken. Oder Wonderland? Keine Ahnung, ich weiß nicht mehr. Bei Marveler, Gamino, and Kind Boys. Thus I fantasized about her adventures, pretending that I was the main protagonist. How could I even like her? Occasionally, I recall that she had black and blue marks on her body, but that I did not understand, did not put two and two together. It was Ron Gimo who explained things to me a few years later. He told me about Bruno's father and brother, but I was already very ill. The light had returned, and that thing made me suffer even more. It was my world, and it was crumbling. When I spoke to Bruna about it, she turned her head away and was silent for a long time. Okay. Oh, my God, Prince Charming don't exist, Renée. At least not for us. Oh my God. Handsome? I was 14 years old. I didn't think it was possible for a boy to look at me and sense me. When he asked me if I wanted to go for a walk, I didn't say anything. I didn't even have the courage to look at him. He felt that he was being accused, injured. I chased him away. I insulted him. He was not haughty. Handsome, he said things about me to other people which she shouldn't have said. My mother called me when I came home. Drunk, she beat me and sent me to speak to Don Gino every day. He came back and tried to speak to me. I think he fancied me. Sometimes I sent him packing and I started shouting at him. But other times I embraced him, I held him tight, and I loved him. But he couldn't settle down with me. I was 16 and I was ill. I had no future. I didn't get out of bed for weeks. Then I did things I was ashamed of. I went to bed with men. The guilt tore at my soul, and the light came back to torture me. I invented das Wort hatte ich vorhin schon mal. Ich kann es aber nicht richtig so entziffern. To justify my actions. I couldn't bear the weight of myself. Oh my gosh. Mom found out about it. Her voice split my head. I pushed her away because I was afraid of dying, and I shouted to the whole world, sorry, what was happening to me, and that I didn't understand. The police arrived and they carted me away, also dass sie halt weggebracht haben. I remember the onlookers shaking their heads. They would be better off without me. Changed of shame and with something to talk about. English Version war das, okay. Geht's noch weiter? Nee. Das war das Diary. Ja. Mehr haben wir hier dann noch nicht. Wir haben das Spiel somit abgeschlossen. Wow, das hat jetzt gerade aber nochmal ein wenig Einsicht gebracht in das Ganze. Leider noch nicht wirklich, was jetzt mit der anderen Renée ist. Man kann Mutmaßungen anstellen. Bildet euch selbst eine Meinung. Ich habe meine gebildet. Ja. Gut, das war's dann mit The Town of Light. Vielen Dank, dass ihr das soweit verfolgt habt. Ich hatte Spaß. Es war echt schön. Oh, ich muss mich mal eben strecken. Gut, ich habe mich teilweise auch sehr geekelt. Also es war, wow, mit dem Auge, wo die das da hinten reingehauen haben bei ihr. Und am Ende, das Lied war unglaublich schön. Das hat mich ziemlich an Life of Strange erinnert. Also von der Musik her, nicht von dem Spiel. Ihr wisst schon, was ich meine. Ja, also vielen Dank und wir sehen uns im nächsten Let's Play. Ich weiß noch nicht genau, was ich machen werde. Ich habe eine Menge Auswahl. Gut, also vielleicht bis zum nächsten Mal. Man sieht sich oder hört sich, wie auch immer. Bis dann. Ciao.